Good morning and welcome to this presentation. I'm Connor Dellenbank, the CEO and founder at a company called Strategio. I'm also a honoree on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list for education in 2022, and also a speaker at events like TEDx, Cloud Expo, DevOps Summit, and DevOps Days. In terms of what we do at Strategio, our mission is to improve diversity, equity, and inclusion for underserved and underrepresented groups in tech. We've also raised $4.4 million in funding in the 14 months that we've been in business. We launched in August 2021. We do a program called Talent Creation as a Service, and that's where we source early career technology talent. We invest $5,000 scholarships in every technologist that we train in our 2-month training program. Our training includes technology skills like cloud and DevOps, software engineering, software development engineering and test, and also site reliability engineering. And once we finish this 2-month training, we directly offer 2-year job contract to hire programs to our early career technologists. And we also serve enterprise clients as they modernize and transform. And that's exactly why I'm positioned to speak to you about winning the war on talent and building an inclusive organization. I've been in the global talent space for the last 9 years, which is my entire career. And I focused very heavily on enterprise transformation, enterprise modernization, all things across people, process, and technology to help large, big enterprise companies who have been around for often hundreds of years modernize, change their infrastructure, their environment, their culture, their collaboration, and make sure that they're well positioned to deliver great services to the communities and people that they serve. I'm also hoping, by the way, that the fire alarm doesn't go off. For some reason, it's the annual fire alarm testing in the building I'm in, and so I haven't got much choice. But I want to make sure we get this great presentation ready for all of you. In 2017, I had the opportunity to visit Cuba to attend and speak at DevOps Days Cuba, which is a global technology conference. I was joined by technology leaders from companies like eBay, Google, and ThoughtWorks. To access the internet, I had to pay for a top-up card in the hotel lobby, which gave me around 1 hour of internet at a time. And trust me when I say that the network was slow and it was limited. To get to the hotel from the airport, I rode in a 1950s Chevy, just like the one pictured here. Now, this is normal. That was actually a picture I took directly on my own phone. There are around 60,000 classic American cars in Cuba. Half of these classic cars are from the 1950s, a quarter of them are from the 1940s, and the remaining quarter are from the 1930s. So why am I talking about Cuba, slow internet speed, and classic cars? I thought this was a DevOps conference, some of you might be saying. Well, let's start here. As part of what I mentioned, where I said I've been working in this space for around 9 years, I've actually placed people into jobs all across Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and North America. For me, this means I am constantly trying to figure out where talent comes from, how to qualify good talent, and how to match this talent with potential opportunities. Answering these questions led me to launch Strategio, my current company, and this model that we briefly touched on, which is talent creation as a service. So after speaking with engineering leaders at some of the top companies in the world, including Google, Netflix, Twitter, Amazon, and a wide variety of large banks, financial services, insurance, and pharmaceutical companies, the most common trait that I've seen that these leaders desire is for their engineers to demonstrate the ability to solve complex problems using logic. Where do we first go to find our logical problem solvers? MIT, Stanford, Harvard. These educational institutions have a long history of producing top talent, so I'm not for a second saying that we shouldn't hire them. But what about the huge percentage of people that we're overlooking? Could there be a more effective way to hire technology talent at scale, while also increasing diversity, equity, and inclusion within our organizations? In a low-income community, people finding their way to school or work have to solve problems every single day. Walking down one street versus another, trying to avoid whoever might be waiting on the corner. Jumping over fences to get to school because the bus will be 30 minutes longer if we go the long way round. Selling things like Oreos or chips from a multi-pack to generate a few dollars and reinvesting those dollars in more packs of these snacks to sell and generate profits. We're talking about children. So are these not logical problem solvers? What about that single mother at home speaking 2, 3, 4 languages, multicultural background, international background, made it to Canada or America, and now raising 3, 4 children, and often at home or working multiple jobs, all during a pandemic in the last 2 years? Things like homeschooling combined with parenting, combined with logging into Zoom calls. Is this not a logical problem solver? What about if we could tap into these logical problem solvers and give them access to the highly stable and lucrative careers available in the technology industry? Are their life skills and experiences not more complex than maybe learning how to code? The truth is, we are actually wrong about there being no talent pipeline, and we are telling ourselves a few myths. According to the PhD research scientist at NCWIT, the National Center for Women in Technology, 72% of people prefer the same ethnic background for their jobs. 66% prefer the same gender. So we find new hires from the same network with the same background and same experience. They also add that only 44% of computer and mathematical scientists possess a bachelor's degree or higher level degree in the field. Only 25% of these workers 25% have no field-related degree at all. So what does this tell us? It tells us that our biases are impacting our hiring decisions. We are telling ourselves stories which often negatively impact who and how we hire. I think it's important that we give ourselves a reality check and open our eyes to other methods of hiring, because this is also leading to us hiring a more homogeneous pool of technology talent. And by that, I mean that I'm referring to the fact that the technology industry is predominantly male and predominantly white male, both in terms of employees and executives. In contrast, there's only 28.8% women in IT jobs. Black women have around 3% representation, and Latina and Hispanic women have around 2% representation. So with such a low percentage of representation in our technology teams and in technology leadership, I think it's fair to say that we have done very little in recent years to move the needle on how we hire this talent. So another misconception is that hiring diverse talent means compromising standards, and this could not be further from the truth. Bringing in talent from a broad variety of backgrounds is actually increasing the talent pool, not lowering it. This wider pool of talent, if managed correctly, will lead to the cognitive diversity of our workforce. In turn, this will help us to solve complex problems while taking feedback from a broader range of perspectives. So in short, our teams will be higher performing. So where are we at so far? We've uncovered that talent can be cultivated from non-traditional backgrounds, and that many of us are looking in the same shallow pool for skills that might not be available, while there may be a huge abundance of available skills in places we haven't been looking. These new hires from a broad variety of backgrounds, this diversity will advance your technology teams in other ways. If fostered correctly, this will lead to phase 2 of this transformation, which is increasing equity and inclusion. With equity, you'll be giving fair opportunities and advancement to everyone within your organization. What about inclusion? Well, inclusion isn't just about letting people in the room. It's also about giving people a seat at the table. Inclusion is giving people a voice once they're in the room and sat at the table. There's a big difference in being seen and heard rather than just being there. The diverse technology workforce that we can all build will lead to more opportunities where inclusion is the norm. But why does equity and inclusion matter? Combined, this will lead to a heightened sense of belonging within our organizations. Now, belonging and inclusion, that's not a data point or a metric, it's a feeling. This feeling in itself can be a huge driving force between retaining talent or losing your best team members to competitors. Now, here's a direct way in which increasing the sense of belonging in your teams can help you win or lose the war on talent. Recruiters and hiring managers give off signals at every stage of the hiring process. The way in which your job description is written, the first response after a job application is received, every piece of correspondence during every step of the hiring process, the interviewers, the way they communicate, the way they behave. Every interviewer in your company is from the same homogeneous background, but you're wondering why you're struggling to hire women, people of color, and other underrepresented groups. Guess what? You may have failed to create a sense of belonging. Now, the data actually shows that there is a long-rooted history of discrimination which directly impacts this inclusion and belonging. A study titled Women and Men in STEM Often at Odds Over Workplace Equity, and conducted by Pew Research Center, a nonpartisan think tank based in Washington, D.C., shows that 29% of women working in STEM felt that they were treated as incompetent at work versus only 4% of men. They also showed that 20% of women experienced repeated small slights at work versus, again, just 4% of men. A final piece of data from this same survey was that half of all women respondents experienced any type of gender-related discrimination at work versus only 19% of men. Now, these are staggering differences, and I do think it shows that we are onto something. Let's elaborate a little more on why experiencing this war on talent and the Great Resignation in the first place. Why have we got to this point? So, having been in the room with countless executives at these large Fortune 500 companies, I've seen that for the past few years, enterprise digital transformation and modernization has been the key focus for chief information and chief technology officers. They all talk of modernizing technology systems, infrastructure, tooling. They also talk about increased collaboration between teams, better culture, more automation. Technology is built by processes, and processes are built by people. Many large enterprises are offering things like voluntary redundancies to their more senior workforce and actively trying to hire talent to meet the needs of their increasingly digital future. Remember, the war on talent can't only be fought using the largest weapons. If senior engineers are our fighter jets and tanks, junior engineers are our technically savvy soldiers flying drones from a distance. This digital skills gap is increasing over time. Companies need a higher volume of technologists to meet the demands of the ever-changing and rapidly changing technology landscape. Why? Technology is everywhere. When we sit down on the sofa to watch Netflix, we immediately expect this huge library of thousands and thousands of movies and shows at the click of a button. This application has to be secure, scalable, available, and reliable. To make this happen, organizations like Netflix require thousands of talented engineers. And this is just a simple example for the day-to-day life. This goes much beyond the likes of Netflix. Any bank, any financial services institution, any tech company, HR, payroll companies, insurance, anything that we use in our day-to-day life needs these kind of services behind it. So we're talking about talented engineers. I've put a few names on this board here. So you've got software engineers writing the software applications. We've got DevOps engineers increasing the speed and quality across the entire software development lifecycle. Convenient given we're talking about DevOps throughout this whole conference. We've got site reliability engineers, ensuring the platform is available, that it's scalable and reliable. Cybersecurity engineers, let's make sure the application is secure and protected from hackers and intruders. Data scientists, writing machine learning algorithms, natural language processing, artificial intelligence. You ever wonder how they know what you want to watch next on Netflix? Top of all those skills, we've got user interface, user experience. We've got developers, designers, making sure that you enjoy the experience of their platform and that you come back again. We need product managers, business systems analysts, understanding the technology and the business needs, making sure customers get the changes and updates they actually need and that they get them on time. A long list of skills, and we've barely even touched the surface. Remember, these skills are not falling, the skill sets, I should say, are not falling off trees. Let's add to this part. Netflix is one company. They compete against HBO, Amazon Prime TV, Apple TV, Peacock, Hulu, Disney Plus. The entire world is full of cases just like this because our lives run on technology. The big banks are trying to transform in order to stay relevant against the fintech companies. Social media companies are trying to keep us engaged, and let's be more honest about this, keep us addicted. The war on technology talent exists because there is a war on technology. The competition for our attention is fiercer than ever, and these organizations capture our attention by developing great software. To win the war on talent, while increasing inclusion within our organization, we have to pursue a few different strategies in parallel. 1, expand your hiring strategy to include non-traditional backgrounds. Could a systems engineer from the military learn the cloud and DevOps skills that you need? Could the arts major who self-taught themselves data structures and algorithms bring a new element of creativity to your software engineering team? 2, adapt your selection process to focus on the logical problem-solving requirements and relax some of the specific demands for one software development language versus the other. A good technologist can acquire new languages quickly. Number 3, actively increase diversity, equity, and inclusion by sourcing early career talent. Create a strategy around this and create new pipelines of diverse technologists who will absorb your culture from day one. They'll be bought in, they'll be with you for the long term, they'll be excited, they'll bring new energy. 4, bring diverse perspectives to the hiring process. Listen to the feedback from your underrepresented technologists and from your underrepresented teams in general. Number 5, work towards a sense of inclusion and belonging rather than solely focusing on the first piece of the puzzle, diversity. So let's go back to Cuba for a minute. Did I mention that I met some of the best engineers and developers of my life in that country? Under limitations, constraints, rigor, you'll often find the most creative people. I remember at the end of that conference, I actually, in 2017, a huge group of us gathered to dance salsa by the pool. The vibes were flowing and suddenly the speaker shut down. And by the way, for the record, I'm sat at my desk, don't expect me to dance right now. So did we all go up to our rooms and give up when the speakers shut off? No, of course we didn't. The Cubans gathered around the speakers, tinkered, and solved the problems. They are logical problem solvers. Did you think that 1950s Chevy just fixed itself whenever it needed it? You'll see them by the side of the road on any given day with the hood popped open and a family leaning in, working with their toolkit. Imagine being a young child and learning to tinker just to get to school. So this is the key part. Engineering is a mindset. Grown up with scarcity, just like the inner city communities we spoke about earlier in this talk, lends itself perfectly to engineering. We, as a community, have to learn to cultivate, include, and welcome technologists from all walks of life. And I guarantee we will, without a doubt, have a competitive advantage in the war on talent. Thank you all so much for listening to this presentation. As mentioned, I'm Connor Dellenbank, CEO and founder at Strategio. Here's all of my information. I'm very happy to support the DevOps Summit Canada network and community. I also spoke at this event last year, and one of my colleagues, Nicole Hargrove, who is the enterprise simulation leader at Strategio, is also speaking at this event today. We're obviously big fans of transformation and modernization, and all huge advocates and allies in this fight, or mission, I should say, to improve DE&I in the technology industry. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to tweet at me or send me an email if you want to talk any further. Always happy to network and build relationships. I'll also say that as of this last couple of weeks, we're in the second week of November. Just last week, Strategio launched our full offering of talent creation as a service to the Canadian community as well. So now we also have a new corporation fully set up for our Canadian launch. We operate in both Toronto and Montreal, serving the people and the clients there with their needs, as well as all across the United States. Thanks again for listening. Looking forward to connecting with some of you, and everyone have a great day and enjoy the rest of the conference. Cheers, Connor.